Shocking origins revealed, the mysterious conflict between Jews and Arabs in ancient times. Few knew what truly happened that night. A time long before the current struggles, where dust swirled in the orange glow of a blistering sunset, two tribes stood at the precipice of a fate they could hardly understand. Ancient hills loomed over Jerusalem, watching as whispers of resentment began to stir in the shadows. Tension filled the air, thick as the haze from oil lamps flickering in the night. The cries of children echoed, blending with the grunts of fathers returning from toil, unaware of the terrible divide stretching between them. And the bustling market of Jerusalem, vibrant colors danced in the light fabrics, spices, and the tantalizing aroma of roasted lamb. Yet beneath this facade of life, a bitter historical wound ached. The lineage traced back to a promise made long ago by a God, sealing destinies in a sacred pact. Abraham's offspring, both Jews and Arabs, were bound together yet torn apart by the same bloodline, a shared inheritance of both hope and heartbreak. As night fell, flickering torches cut through the darkness, casting eerie shadows that fluttered on ancient walls. The specter of a shared history haunted the streets. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, alarming enough to elevate pulses. A rumor spread, a lost treasure that could unite or destroy. Some claimed it held the secrets of the divine. Others warned it would bring fire and blood. That night, doubt twisted the hearts of men, and the very essence of their identities clashed amidst veils of mistrust. An unexpected storm brewed on the horizon, dark clouds swelling with fury. Raindrops began to fall, echoing like the initial murmur of conflict. Faces shifted from curiosity to suspicion, eyes darting, and fists clenching. Who would rise to claim the promise? Who would betray the brotherhood that had once flourished under the same sun? As they stood at the edge of conflict, the foundations of their worlds began to quake. How could they ever reconcile? Could any glimmer of hope shine through the growing storm? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the winds howled around the ancient walls of Jerusalem, the storm carried more than just rain, it swept with it the weight of unspoken fears and the echoes of ancestral legacies. Men gathered in the dimly lit corners of the marketplace, their voices a hushed symphony of anxiety. Clenching their fists and reminiscing of old stories, they exchanged tales of sibling rivalry, narrating the countless betrayals and the promises made beneath the stars that had once shined for them all. In the heart of the turmoil stood Ibrahim, a man torn between his allegiance to tribe and blood. His ancestry wove between the two factions, a father who had sworn devotion to the ways of his people and a mother whose spirit carried the winds of another lineage. He had inherited the strength of two worlds but bore the burden of their discord. As he peered into the stormy night, flashes of lightning illuminated the skies, casting stark contrasts on the faces of those around him, some resolute in their beliefs, others steeped in uncertainty. That night, he was overwhelmed by an unveiling sense of destiny. Ibrahim felt an inexplicable urge drawing him towards the base of the hills, to a place whispered about in hushed conversations, the Cave of Secrets, said to be the resting place of forgotten covenants and the remnants of a promise made to Abraham himself. The path wound through the outskirts of the city, where the shadows of history loomed larger than life. As he moved deeper into the dark embrace of the hills, he could sense a gathering unease within himself. What secrets awaited him in that cave? As he descended into the earth, the air shifted, thick with anticipation. Each step echoed with the memories of his ancestors, a chorus of voices entwined with hope and despair. In that stillness, he recalled the prayers of his grandfather, who had called upon the heavens for peace among their people. Would he find both divergence and unity within those cavernous walls? Upon reaching the mouth of the cave, a flickering torch illuminated symbols carved into the stone, a language long forgotten yet deeply familiar. Ibrahim traced his fingers over the etchings, and a profound realization struck him. the promises engraved within the rock transcended the boundaries of tribe and conflict, encapsulating a yearning for unity that ran deeper than enmity. But as the rain battered the hillside, a feeling of dread washed over him. What if the treasure that lay within was not gold or silver, but a truth so powerful that it could fracture the very foundation upon which their identities stood? What would it mean for those who had long turned their backs on reconciliation? In the shifting shadows, he felt the pulse of two worlds intertwining, a reminder of the shared humanity that weaved them together even in the darkest of times. As an echo reverberated through the cave, he contemplated the possibility of what was to come. Could healing emerge from this tainted past? Or would the discovery plunge them deeper into the chasm of discord? Amidst the tumult of his thoughts, one question lingered like the unyielding glow of the torchlight: was the promise that bound them together ultimately the key to their freedom, or is it a chain that would forever link them to their conflict? As the last echoes of thunder rolled away, Ibrahim stood at the threshold of the cave, each heartbeat a muffled drum echoing against the stone walls. He took a deep breath, drawing in the stale yet sacred air, filled with the scent of earth and antiquity. The darkness before him seemed to breathe, alive with hidden stories and ancient whispers, compelling him further into the unknown. His instinct urged him to turn back, but a stronger pull, woven with strands of curiosity and defiance, beckoned him onwards. As he ventured deeper, the light from his torch danced upon the rough-hewn surfaces, revealing more symbols, more stories dormant beneath the weight of time. Each etching spoke of struggles and triumphs, of journeys endured and destinies intertwined. Suddenly, a chilling gust of wind blew through the cave, snuffing out the flame of his torch. Ibrahim found himself engulfed in darkness, his surroundings alive with the sounds of dripping water and distant echoes that felt like longing, as if even the stones were yearning for reconciliation. Straining his eyes, he allowed the darkness to envelop him, attuning his heart to the sacred silence that wrapped around him like a shroud. Then, in that stillness, something remarkable happened. A flicker of light emerged from the depths of the cave, a glimmer barely perceptible at first, but gradually intensifying. Ibrahim edged closer, propelled by an inexplicable yearning. As he approached the source, a sight that defied reason revealed itself before him, a small pool of shimmering water reflecting a kaleidoscope of colors, bathing the cavern in an ethereal glow. Kneeling beside the pool, the water rippled at his touch, each wave sending forth a cascade of images across its surface. He saw visions of ancient gatherings beneath starlit skies where tribes once shared stories and bread. He witnessed children laughing, their joy unhindered by the divides of their fathers, families united in the spirit of celebration. Yet, just as quickly, the images shifted to portray the strife that fractured their connections: a boy casting stones in anger, a mother weeping as she searched for her lost son, a fire consuming a home born of sacred history. In that moment, Ibrahim grasped the tension between the past and the present, a profound duality that resonated within every heart. He saw the threads of their histories, a tapestry woven with pain but also with the potential for redemption. The water, alive with memories of longing, held within it the echoes of cries for peace, resonating with the same urgency his grandfather's prayers once invoked. His own identity flickered in this kaleidoscope of truth, reminding him of the ties that regulated his existence. How could he reconcile what he saw in the water with the divisions that had become a standard of life? The question churned within him like the darkness outside, the same tempest that had summoned him here. But then, as a breeze swept through, the images shifted once more. He caught sight of a figure standing at the outskirts of conflict, a man bearing the weight of both love and sorrow. Could this be a symbol of the potential for unity? Or was it merely an illusion entangling him further in the complexities of his lineage? As he withdrew from the pool, feeling the cool water trickle through his fingers, an unsettling thought took hold: was the very essence of their promise the barrier they each feared to cross? The truth of it hovered like a shadow, ripe with uncertainty. Ibrahim emerged from the cave, the storm now a distant whisper. As he looked over the city soaked in rain, alive with the vitality of life but also marked by history's scars, he pondered the path ahead. Could he find the courage to share what had awakened within him? Or would the fear of challenging the long-held beliefs hold him captive, just as it had done for generations? As he stood on the threshold between the past and his own potential, a new question arose, rippling through his thoughts like the water in the cave. In seeking unity, could he bear the weight of truth in a Land divided, or would he forever remain entangled in the chains of enmity? With the storm fading into memory, Ibrahim wandered through the streets of his city, where the rain had washed the dust of ages from the stones. Each step felt heavy with the knowledge he carried from the cave. As he passed under archways adorned with symbols of both past and present, he could not shake the visions from the pool, their vibrant colors clashing with the muted tones of reality around him. People moved about their daily tasks, some wrapped in the familiarity of tradition, others struggling against the currents of change. Ibrahim caught glimpses of conversations that sparked tension, heated exchanges rife with unyielding conviction. Each word seemed to echo sharp with the weight of history, a reminder of battles waged not just upon the fields but deep within the marrow of their shared heritage. It struck him that every face contained countless stories, like the images in the water, interlaced with threads both of love and animosity. That he came upon a marketplace bustling with life, the aroma of spices filling the air, yet here too he sensed the undercurrent of division. A merchant, known to him since childhood, gestured vehemently toward a rival stall, his voice a tapestry of accusation and dread. Ibrahim hesitated, feeling the pull of kinship with both men even as their animosity unraveled like frayed yarn. How often had he witnessed such scenes, the same script played countless times, where family ties became points of contention rather than connection. As he approached, he became aware of the hushed whispers that surrounded him. A gathering has drawn a small crowd, their faces alight with intrigue and apprehension. Curiosity drew him closer, and he stared into the small circle of onlookers, where an elder spoke of a distant prophecy, a promise made to their forefathers about a time when peace would reclaim their land, when swords would be turned into plowshares. What if that day never comes? A voice broke the stillness. It was a young man who seemed weary of waiting, eyes reflecting an inner storm of frustration. Hope is but a distant shadow in our streets. We have built walls of despair thicker than those that separate us from one another. The elder, with a face wrinkled by the passage of time, replied gently, hope is not merely the fireworks of the moment, it is the quiet resolve in our hearts, binding us together across the years. We must remember our connected past, as painful as it may be. Healing lives not in blissful ignorance but in confronting our truths. Ibrahim felt a pang of longing within, the elder's words echoed his own realizations from the cave. Yet, the path to healing felt obscured by fierce storms of emotion and resentment that battered the ship of unity. How easy it was to succumb to bitterness when faced with a history so riddled with conflict, to chain oneself to resentment rather than to the fragile hope for reconciling broken bonds. That he stepped forward, compelled to interject, to bridge the distance created by generations of silence. What if we choose to explore the depths of our shared stories, to confront the conflicts between us in the spirit of understanding? What were we before division fell upon us? Murmurs rippled through the crowd, an electric tension hanging in the air. Was it a daring proposal or foolish folly? As he scanned the faces in the circle, he realized they mirrored the multifaceted layers of the pool he had encountered in the cave. Each one carried a reflection of their shared past, and in that moment, he understood the weight of what he proposed. Their journey toward unity would compel them to traverse the landscapes of grief and anger, but could they willingly bear such burdens and emerge whole? Ibrahim's heart raced with both conviction and apprehension as he posed his question, which hung in the air like a dark cloud. In seeking the past, would they find the wisdom needed to transcend their conflict, or would that very pursuit lead them deeper into the abyss of division? As the murmurs spread like rippling water, Ibrahim felt the weight of the crowd's gaze settle upon him. Each eye seemed to carry a unique history, a reservoir of dreams and disappointments that swelled just beneath the surface. The elder's gaze bore into him with a mixture of encouragement and caution, as though weighing the gravity of his words. Silence lingered for a heartbeat longer, creating a palpable tension, before the elder spoke again. To ask such questions is to step into a river of our ancestors' fears and hopes. Are you prepared to navigate those turbulent waters, child? The vulnerability in the elder's challenge ignited a flicker of determination within Ibrahim. We must tread these waters together, he stated, meeting the elder's gaze. Our past is imprinted on our bones, and those who forget the stories live only half a life. To uncover our shared history may be the only true path forward. A hesitant nod from the elder encouraged him as voices from the crowd began to rise, a blend of doubt and yearning. What stories do we share that could bind us, or will they only reveal more wounds? Another voice questioned. It was a woman, her brow furrowed with a mixture of hope and trepidation. If we search for stories, we may find them, Ibrahim replied, his heart racing. But the journey may not lead where we wish. It may reveal the fractures and injustices that have lingered for too long. Yet, perhaps therein lies our opportunity, for in our darkest places, we may find the light we have long sought. A chuckle from a burly man interrupted him. You speak of light, but what if darkness consumes us as we delve deeper? Our elders buried their pain rather than confronting it. Why should we do differently? Ibrahim met the man's challenge, unshaken. Because if we bury our stories, we remain shackled to fear. We let anger dictate our actions. But stories, however painful, offer release. They allow us to see each other beyond the labels and divisions that have kept us apart. With these words, he noticed subtle shifts among the crowd. Some nodded thoughtfully, while others exchanged glances filled with questions yet unspoken. Was it possible, he wondered, to undertake this journey collectively? Could they gather the courage to share their narratives, to trace the roots of their separations back to the very origins of their existence? Ibrahim was aware that examining past wounds could unearth more than just individual regrets. It could also reveal the shared humanity that was buried underneath layers of conflict, yet, lurking behind the boldness of his hope was a shadow of doubt. He had borne witness to too many broken promises, too many declarations of peace that had dissolved into chaos. Would they be willing to trust one another? Would they acknowledge their pain without allowing its scars to deepen their divisions? Could they face the truth and emerge united, or would they find themselves spiraling into a chasm of accusation and despair? Caught in this whirlwind of emotion, Ibrahim felt an unfamiliar resolve strengthen within him. Let us gather our stories, he urged. Not as an act of blame but as a reclaiming of our voices, as an invitation to step into the waters together. To truly listen to one another as brothers and sisters could awaken the healing we so desperately need. His heart raced with both anticipation and terror. Would they heed the call? As the crowd shifted, he realized they stood at a crossroads, a chance to confront the delicate threads of their intertwined fates. He looked once more at the elder, who nodded imperceptibly, an affirmation tinged with cautious encouragement. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows on the cobblestones, a question lingered in the air, unanswered yet resonant with possibility. Would the path they chose to walk together lead to a long-awaited reconciliation, or would it draw them further into the darkness they sought to escape? As twilight fully embraced the horizon, casting a purple hue over the gathering, Ibrahim sensed the gravity of the moment hang in the air like a weighty mist. In the stillness, a multitude of stories were trapped in the hearts of those gathered, their voices waiting to rise like smoke from flickering flames. Yet both hope and apprehension settled over the crowd, a mixture that perhaps resembled the landscapes of their own histories, beautiful yet also scarred. Before we delve into our tales, we must consider our intentions. The elder spoke once more, his voice an anchor amidst the rising tide of emotions. Why do we seek these stories? Is it to absolve ourselves, to place blame, or are we willing to discover the truth, however unsettling it may be? The question resonated like a bell, drawing Ibrahim's thoughts toward the realm of human motivation. Were they seeking reconciliation for the sake of peace? Or were they driven by the need to understand the roots of their disputes? As he pondered this, the woman who had spoken earlier stood again, her face illuminated by a flicker of candlelight. I want to understand why my family has been divided, she began, her voice trembling yet firm. My mother often weeps for those lost in conflicts we barely comprehend. She speaks of a time when things were different, yet I know of only fractured ties and abandoned dreams. Perhaps if we listen, we can stitch together the remnants of our past into something that binds, not breaks. Others began to voice their own intentions, each confession weaving a complex tapestry of grief and yearning. A farmer stepped forward, his hands calloused from years of labor. I lost my brother to violence, a misunderstanding between our people. I have harbored bitterness, but even this bitterness grows weary. I wish to understand, as well. Why do we persist in this cycle? In that moment, Ibrahim felt a stirring deep within him. Perhaps it was the very light he had spoken of earlier. Their willingness to confront their wounds laid a foundation for a dialogue previously thought impossible. It was a testament that within the collective ache for understanding lay the potential for healing, yet, even in this dawning sense of camaraderie, shadows loomed at the edges of their gathering. The burly man spoke again, his voice thick with skepticism. What if the stories we uncover only deepen our hatred? Could they not illuminate the fault lines that fracture us further? As the murmurs quieted, Ibrahim sensed the truth of this fear. Ignoring their past would be akin to watching the tide rise without recognition of its source. Conflicted emotions twisted inside him as he replied, yes, they may reveal pain, but they can also unearth compassion hidden beneath the surface. The risks we face in sharing our truths are mirrored in our shared humanity. It is not an easy path, but perhaps it holds the only chance for peace we can grasp. He considered the lineage of their division's secrets passed through generations, a complex inheritance. What stories lay dormant within each heart? Were there shared experiences of love, loss, and resilience hidden within their fractured narratives? As twilight deepened to night, the faces of those gathered shone softly under the nascent stars. Ibrahim felt the unity strengthen around him, as though they formed a circle of shared vulnerability that could withstand the churning waters of their histories, yet, as one question answered another, fresh inquiries arose. Would they step forward into the narrative that life demanded of them? Could they embrace both their shadows and their light, learning from the scars of their past, or would fear guide them back into the arms of silence? With this uncertainty swirling around them, Ibrahim offered a simple yet profound inquiry to the assembly. In seeking our stories, are we willing to forgive not only the actions of others but also ourselves, for the roles we have played in this ancestral tale? As the stars began to blink awake in the vastness of the night sky, a low hum of contemplation enveloped the gathering. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows across the faces of those assembled, each one etched with a mix of hope and trepidation. The elder's question hung in the air like a promise of revelation, yet laced with the fear of the unknown. Ibrahim watched the woman who had spoken of her family's division, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Forgiveness, she echoed thoughtfully. Can it truly mend what is so deeply broken? It was a question that sent ripples through the crowd, stirring hearts that had grown heavy with regret and longing. A man, older than most, leaned forward, his white hair catching the light of the embers. I've lived through conflicts that seemed insurmountable. I have seen friends become enemies, brothers take up arms against one another. Forgiveness feels elusive. Yet, he paused, as if weighing his next words, I have also seen moments where kindness pierced the darkness, shining like a star in the constellations above us. The group fell silent, reflecting upon his words. Kindness had the power to transcend borders and break down walls built by history. It was a truth both simple and profound. Were they prepared to allow kindness to guide their narratives, or would they remain shackled by the memories of their pain? The burden of their ancestral stories pressed in on each individual, yet beneath that weight seemed to brew a spirit of inquiry. Ibrahim's heart resonated with an unsettling but remarkable thought: if their grievances were woven deep into their identities, what was woven into the fabric of their very souls? What narratives had been passed down that told of grace amidst conflict, resilience amidst suffering? I often think of Abraham, he said, the name rolling off his tongue with reverence. He was a father to many, yet his heart was torn between the sons of promise and the sons of struggle. Their stories intertwine, yet they dance on a precipice of division. How did they manage to forge identities anew, despite the fissures in their bloodlines? The elder nodded, understanding the weight of Ibrahim's words. Such is the nature of our shared history. Each of us carries part of that legacy. Perhaps in our quest for truth, we must first accept the complexities of our past. There lies wisdom in acknowledging that while we may stand divided, our origins connect us in ways we have yet to fully grasp. A shifting wind swept through the gathering, carrying the fragrance of earth after a rain. The air was ripe with the promise of change, yet uncertainty lingered heavily. Would they find a way to embrace their origins together? Would they gather the threads of their narratives, torn but yearning to be woven into a broader tapestry, yet an unsettling thought gnawed at the edges of Ibrahim's mind. If understanding emerged as painful as it was illuminating, could they bear the burden of truth? The revelation that some histories were steeped in misunderstandings, betrayals, and unhealed divides might unearth emotions far veiled beneath the surface. Tonight, he continued, his voice steady yet soft, let us not only seek the stories of our ancestors but also consider our role in this ongoing saga. How can we honor the complexities of what was, while aspiring to create a future that defies the legacies of our past? As silence clung lovingly to the crowd, a new question formed, hovering like a delicate moth against the bright flickers of flame. In reclaiming our narratives, are we ready to confront the shadows within, those darker parts that threaten to eclipse the light of our shared humanity? The night deepened, wrapping the gathering in a thick cloak of serenity punctuated only by the crackling of the fire. Shadows flickered like spirits dancing to the rhythm of a haunting melody, anchoring the hearts of those present to their shared uncertainty. Ibrahim sensed a stirring within the contours of their collective pondering, as questions of identity and belonging swirled and collided like the flickers of the flames. As if summoned by the intensity of their contemplation, an elder woman, with silver strands woven through her hair, rose slowly from her seat. Her hands trembled slightly as she steadied herself against the log that served as her perch. The wrinkles on her face were etched deep with wisdom and sorrow, like valleys shaped by the relentless hand of time. Forgiveness, she began, her voice carrying the weight of uncounted years, is indeed a balm, yet it is not without its own scars. She took a deep breath, drawing the gaze of every soul around her. I was once told of the time when Hagar wandered in the wilderness, driven away from the home she knew, with her child clinging to her breast. The anger and pain of being cast out, how it echoed across generations. Do we not feel that struggle even now, the pulling of the heartstrings as we navigate our complex ties? The crowd felt the weight of her words seep into their bones. Each of them knew the stories of Hagar and her son, a narrative steeped in anguish but also resilience. For she found not only water but also an angel and unexpected messenger in her solitude. His words, "Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is," carries with it a promise that even in our desolation, we are not forsaken. The air grew heavy with reflection, and Ibrahim felt his heart stir at the mention of that divine encounter. The angel's assurance reached beyond the confines of Hagar's immediate sorrow, it seemed to speak into the very fabric of their existence. If Hagar could grasp hope amid her trials, he mused aloud, then could we not also muse that our narratives do not end in conflict but could also lead us to unexpected sanctuaries? As murmurs of agreement rippled through the people, an air of possibility suffused the gathering. Yet, a shadow lingered within the curls of light emitted by the fire. With gentle resolve, Ibrahim spoke again, but what of the chasms formed in our past? Each grievance, each wound carries its weight heavy and unyielding. Can they be bridged? Is it possible that healing requires not only forgiveness but also a confrontation with our most painful legacies? The elder woman closed her eyes, as if seeking refuge in her memories. The act of healing is habitually stitched with threads of honesty. The truth may be painful, but it is often the first step towards reconciliation. We must not only listen to the stories of those hurt, but also bear witness to our own, no matter how jagged or raw they may be. The fire crackled loud in the silence that followed her declaration. Ibrahim felt the tension of their shared history ebb and flow around them, as generations of hurt reverberated within the shared ancestry. The challenge ahead loomed larger than they had confronted before, a commitment to acknowledge their varied stories, yet, amidst the contemplation, a new query found its place in Ibrahim's heart. Will we gather the courage to voice the truths that have long been cloaked in silence? Will we brave the revelations that lie underneath our narratives, even if they reveal betrayals we wish to forget? As the stars sparkled above them, he sensed that the night's wisdom was still unfolding, hinting at mysteries still to be explored, with the echoes of their ancestors guiding their way forward. But could they venture into the recesses of their collective soul to seek out those shadows they had kept at bay for too long? As the last embers of the fire glowed and the stars twinkled like diamonds scattered upon velvety night, a profound stillness enveloped the gathering. Ibrahim, feeling the weight of the elder woman's words, gazed into the flickering flames as if they might reveal the truths yet unspoken. Questions lingered in the air, unsolved mysteries of identity and heritage swaying gently like the branches of a nearby olive tree. That a hush settled among the gathering as a newcomer approached, an old man adorned in robes faded by time. His beard was white, curling at the ends like the wispy clouds above. He was not one they recognized immediately, yet there was a familiarity about him, as if he belonged to all of them yet none at the same time. His presence seemed to draw forth the stories they had been too apprehensive to voice. "Peace be upon you," he greeted softly, his voice like syrup spilling from a honeycomb. "I may not have been among you in life, but I have known your tales, your pains, and your hopes. I am Malik, a keeper of stories, and I have come to remind you of a thread that binds us all." With intrigue, the crowd listened, for his words held an almost palpable weight. The stories of Hagar and her son are but echoes of our own present struggles. She was cast out, not for a lack of love but for the complexities that arise from divided hearts. In conflict, we often forget that pain flows in rivers with no defined banks. Both sides feel the cold sting of isolation, both sides ache for belonging. Ibrahim leaned forward, captivated. The old man continued, "Do not overlook Abraham in this tale, the father of many nations who himself wrestled with his doubts and fears. His decisions were layered in shades of love and vulnerability. He embraced both Hagar and Sarah, yet his dilemma bore the seeds of divisions we still reap today. His heart, a vessel of compassion, was also a reflection of the strife that could ensue from his choices. Is it possible, Malik pondered aloud, looking into the faces of those gathered, that the very roots of our conflict are intertwined within our love and fear of one another? This ancient struggle is not one of mere land or legacy, but a deep-seated yearning for connection amidst chaotic divides. Mirroring the flickering firelight, a mixture of disbelief and hope flickered across their faces. A young woman, her voice trembling yet firm, offered her thoughts. "If we recognize our shared humanity, our common ancestry, could that inspire us toward forgiveness?" The old man nodded, encouraging her. Indeed, recognition transforms hesitation into dialogue. Yet, one cannot embrace forgiveness without sometimes gazing directly into the depths of one's own history. Each of you carries stories that speak not just of sorrow, but of resilience, courage, and the grace to forgive oneself. Ibrahim's heart raced. It became clear that healing went beyond acknowledgement. It was a journey deeper into their shared legacies, a pilgrimage into their own hearts as much as to those of others. "But the threads are tangled, are they not?" he declared. "Can we find the threads of love amidst years of conflict that seem irreparable?" Malik's gaze grew distant, as if reflecting upon epochs past. "Only by venturing into the shadows of your ancestral stories can you illuminate those connections. It is within that pilgrimage that both understanding and healing can dawn. Yet, the question, dear ones, remains, will you dare to unravel the histories that bind you to one another, knowing that often those stories contain the very truths that have kept you apart?" The gathering fell into contemplative silence, woven together by a newfound awareness of their collective plight. There was a hum of anticipation in the air, a realization that their journey of healing stood at the very edge of revelation. As the night deepened, Ibrahim pondered Malik's words. Could the shadows they feared contain the light they sought? Would they dare to weave their tales into something transformative, or would they let the weight of history pull them apart? The dawn broke over Jerusalem as light spread across the ancient hills, casting golden hues upon the water-soaked streets, remnants of the storm still visible in the glistening stones. Ibrahim stood at the heart of the city, the warmth of the sun pressing against his skin, yet an invisible weight rested upon his soul. He held the truth, a promise of hope born in a cave, yet the challenge of sharing it echoed louder than the roar of the wind from the previous night. As he walked through the bustling market, where merchants began to unfurl their vibrant goods, he felt the pulse of a city both alive with potential and stifled by entrenched divisions. Faces he recognized flickered across his mind, each carved with their own histories, wounding and healing intertwined. The visions from the shimmering pool haunted him, nudging him towards a revelation that lay just beneath the surface of his consciousness. Gathering the courage he had unearthed in the cave, Ibrahim approached a group of merchants, their laughter mingling with bartering voices, each word an echo of their intertwined pasts. He cleared his throat, silence falling over the chatter as they turned to meet his gaze. "Friends," he started, the weight of his message much heavier than the words themselves. "We stand on the threshold of a choice today. Will we let our past haunt us, or will we allow the stories to weave us into a fabric stronger than our divisions?" As he spoke, he saw uncertainty in their eyes, but also a flicker of something deeper: curiosity. "Last night, I ventured into the Cave of Secrets," he continued, emboldened by their attention. "And there, I found not treasures of gold, but a deeper understanding of our shared pain. Our legacies are complex, yet they intertwine like vines seeking the light. Is it not time we acknowledge our narratives, both the bitter and the sweet, as a path to healing?" The merchants exchanged skeptical glances, yet above the noise of doubt, an elder spoke, his voice steady with wisdom. "Speak further, Ibrahim. What do you propose we do with these stories?" With his heart racing, Ibrahim dared to envision his next steps. "We must gather, each of us, to share our experiences. Not to absolve ourselves nor to cast blame, but to illuminate the truth we've hidden from one another. Each story holds a mirror to another's soul, for in our shadows coexist fragility and strength. If we dare to delve into our ancestors' legacies, we may unearth a future free of the chains of resentment." Soft murmurs spread through the crowd, curiosity shimmering like hesitant sunlight. Old rivalries and familial wounds started to surface among their conversations, but with them came a willingness and unspoken agreement to confront the untold narratives that had bound them in silence for far too long. "Then let us gather," the elder declared, rising with unexpected vigor. "Let us meet under the stars tonight, both for the stories we carry and the hope we seek. For every conflict is but a fracture in our understanding, and perhaps, when the night falls, this fractured tapestry can be woven anew." As the sun rose higher, illuminating the cobbled streets, the air became electric with possibility. Ibrahim sensed a shift, a subtle yet significant change in the energy of those around him. The shared histories that had once divided them seemed to bind together, much like ancient threads weaving a cloak of protection against the wounds of the past. That evening, beneath a vast sky sprinkled with stars, people from different lineages, some who had long been estranged from one another, convened in a central square. There was hesitation in the air, an understanding that vulnerability was required, each face illuminated by the flickering flames of shared fire signifying both warmth and uncertainty. Ibrahim stood before them, gathering bravery from the voices of those who had arrived. "Tonight," he began, his voice steady yet gentle, "we embark on a pilgrimage not merely to our histories but to the essence of who we are. First, let us listen to the pain that binds us, then birth the healing sought by our ancestors." Stories wove themselves into the night, each voice ringing with the cadence of truth. They spoke of loss and love, betrayal and reconciliation, their tales uplifted and intertwined. In each narrative shared, there was a resonance that echoed across the hearts gathered, creating a fabric rich with colors of the human condition. Laughter intermingled with tears, as the once veiled animosities began to dissolve like morning mist under the sun's rays. That it was a young boy, restless and curious, who ultimately broke the spell of solemnity. "Why must we carry the burden of the past?" he asked earnestly. "Can we not just choose to be friends?" The crowd chuckled lightly, yet Ibrahim took the boy's question to heart. "Perhaps that is the revelation we seek," he replied softly. "The past may guide us, but it does not have to define us. The weight of our ancestors rests solemnly on our shoulders, yet in this moment, as we share our stories, we hold the keys to transform that weight into strength." Encouraged by a newfound courage, another elder rose, his hair silvery against the night sky. "Let us realize, dear ones, that the stories of our separation are not all there is to our history. To truly embrace a future of peace, we must also remember the moments that shimmer beyond the shadows. The laughter of children, the joy of shared meals, the beauty found in our cultural exchanges, these are the glimmers of light we can carry forward." As the stories spilled forth into the open air, the night sky played witness to the ebb and flow of generation upon generation, each heartbeat a reminder of the bond binding them together across the divides. They wept for their shared losses, but more significantly, they rejoiced in the recognition of their enduring humanity. As midnight draped itself over the gathering, Ibrahim felt a wave of realization wash over him. Healing was not found solely in words, but in the act of coming together, reaching across ages and traditions to embrace that which makes them whole. In that shared vulnerability, the shadows dimmed, and the shared humanity emerged like a phoenix from the ashes. When they allowed space for hope, the fear of their histories began to shrink. With each confession, with every embrace forged in acknowledgement, the flame of understanding sparked fiercely, casting light where darkness had often reigned. I urge each of you, as we part tonight, to carry this flame, this unity within your hearts, Ibrahim called out. For the fires we ignite here will extend beyond this moment. Let the stories we've shared reshape our paths, weaving the threads of grace amidst the conflicts that sought to pull us apart for far too long. As the gathering began to disperse, Ibrahim felt a lightness in his being. He understood that while the previous wounds may never fully disappear, they could be transformed, scars evolving into symbols of resilience rather than marks of division. That night had unveiled a profound truth, a revelation shimmering in the darkness of their past. They were bound not only by blood and history, but also by the stories that shaped them and the courageous hearts willing to embrace their truth. In the quiet dawn light that followed, as the city awoke, Ibrahim stood once more at the edge of Jerusalem, feeling the warmth of the sun on his back. He closed his eyes, sending a silent prayer of gratitude up to the heavens, for in the depths of the human experience lies an undeniable truth that healing comes not through conflict, but through the beauty of shared stories, woven together like precious threads into the tapestry of life. As the promise of unity lingered in the air, he opened his eyes, ready to embrace the new dawn, the dawn of a people awakening to their shared destiny.